And if I've got a lot of background noise, so if you don't hear me, let me know. But just describe a little bit about what you saw in Arjun Nimmala and what tipped the scales for you guys.
Yeah, I think it's just the overall tool package, combined with the age and overall upside of the player. The power, the arm strength, the actions defensively, playing at a premium position. That all makes him a really exciting player and somebody I'm really, really happy to get into the farm system.
And as this was playing out, did the draft board play to your expectations? Did you have to make some adaptations based on what was happening in front of you?
Yeah, there's always some adjusting as the draft goes along, as players and signability is changing throughout the round. We were prepared and in a good position to make the pick today.
All right, thanks.
You're up, Mitch.
Hey, Shane, you just mentioned signability there with a high school pick. Do you guys have any concern about signability? Do you have any intel on that?
No, we feel pretty good. We've built a strong relationship with Arjun, and we're excited to get him, to Dunedin. It's a short drive for him, so we're excited to get him on campus.
And then you mentioned before the draft about kind of the value of the meetings with the prospects. Have you had a chance to meet with him one-on-one, and could you give us some insight into what he's like as a person? Yeah,
fortunately, Arjun living so close to Dunedin, we've had an opportunity to meet with him, in the summer and the fall, and then again in the spring. And he's been to the PDC and been around some of our staff members. So there is a level of familiarity for a high school player, which is a bit different and a little unique. And we think that transition is going to go well.
Thanks, Shane.
Your turn, Gregor.
There's obviously a lot of talk about his upside going into this draft. When you're looking at projecting someone that far out when they're in high school, what are the things that you like about his game so far that you think is going to carry out? And kind of generally, when you're looking at like a high school shortstop, high school middle infielder, what are some of the things that you look for in someone at that age group that you think is going to kind of show up in 2-3 years?
Yeah, I think for Arjun, it's really combining the age, the power and physical projection that we're seeing. We think he's gonna fill out and be a strong and mature individual, and that power is going to continue to grow and can continue to translate to game production as well.
How rare is that power? Because there's a lot of talk about his power too going into this draft. How rare is that power to have at such an early age so far for him?
Yeah, it's definitely unique. I think there will be a few instances in each class where this may come. Arjun feels like one of those few this year, and we're excited to get our hands on him and work a little bit more closely with him and get him into our system.
And you kind of touched on the location for him as well. Was that beneficial for you guys that he was in? I mean, you guys are obviously practically neighbors down there in Florida with where the team is. Did that kind of help with your scouting and getting to know him as well?
I think it made it a lot easier for us to circle back to him and keep logging at bats and watching him progress throughout the spring. The more we can watch a high school hitter, the better it is for our scouting staff. Continuing to log at bats throughout the spring is difficult to do when you're trying to cover so many prospects at once. But knowing he was so close to the complex and the ease to get out during spring training or throughout the year, that made it very beneficial for our group.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Shane.
Okay, Shaq.
Shane, with given his age, how does that, being a bit on the younger side, does that change much for you in your evaluation, and how does it create a bit more challenges? How does that work in terms of how you're trying to project him out?
It can be challenging to factor in when we are scouting, but I think it's really something we have to keep in mind, throughout his development path. He's going to be a little bit behind in terms of maturity than others that he's going to be walking into this draft class with. And again, it's going to be something we'll have to consider a little bit, as far as physical development and things like that, but we don't foresee any challenges.
And you mentioned earlier this week that in the last few drafts, you guys have tried to diversify your picks and the different kind of players with a high school projectionable pick as your first rounder without a second rounder. How does that maybe impact your planning for the rounds ahead?
I don't think it's going to change too much. Like I've said in the past, we're trying to identify and select the best player in each round, and we felt like Arjun was that today.
Okay, thank you.
Your turn, Caitlin.
Hey, Shane. Just wondering, obviously, once he's signed and everything, what is the next step for a player that is so young like him? Is there instructional clinics, or would it be going into like a complex league, or what would be the next step for someone like him?
Yeah, he'll transition to our complex league. Post draft, we'll have about a 10-day to 2-week draft camp where this draft class will meet, and it's a bit of an onboarding for the group, or they'll meet our player development staff. It's an introductory to our routines, our programming, strength and conditioning, nutrition, the on-field development as well. So post 2 weeks, he'll transition. He'll likely transition to a team and get his summer season underway.
Awesome, great, thank you.